Hello. Welcome to our planet. This is a new season of Agent Paranormal. I am Peter Leonard. I'm joined here with Rich Nicodem and Kevin Jordan. And we have a special guest today, Nicole Beretta. We're going to be discussing conspiracy theory. I know we've researched a lot. I was trying to see how long I could actually hold it.
I was over here losing it. I couldn't keep my composure.
Oh my God.
Please, Pete, don't ever make that face again in public. That was hence the warning that Kevin threw up beforehand.
That's for the disturbing
yeah,
part.
okay. Now I get it. It works.
I almost got it out. I lost it. All right, we're talking about the Haley Boop Bop today, or the Boopity Bops.
We'll talk about a couple of things, but yeah,
Oh
we're
my God.
talking a little about the Haley Bop comment.
You want me to read people's tarots or something tonight? I don't.
What you do in your personal time is a different thing.
Yes, Kevin brought a deck of tarot cards later, and we're going to pull one.
Ooh.
Give your reading for the week. Stare into the lens. Okay. You guys hopefully you all had a wonderful holiday.
Yeah, how about you?
I know it's. We hope you're feeling better. I know you've been down and out a little bit there. It's that kind of season.
Mm-hmm.
Doing good with the school, we hope. The college is going well.
Yes. I'm done with the associates and on to the bachelor starting in February. So I have a little bit of a break. I can
Yeah.
join you guys for a couple episodes.
Congratulations. For those of you who
Thank
don't
you.
know, you probably haven't seen Nicole. Nicole's actually never been on the show before. I don't think we
No.
even mentioned her before.
We talked
Think
about
Rich-
it.
Which she's been one of our longest and dearest friends and associates for many years. God, since 2010 maybe. Actually,
Yes.
Nicole and I got into the paranormal and joined the group on the very exact day, the same time. We went together to the first meeting. That's where we met Pete together for the first time. So we've been doing some stuff in the paranormal for a long time, man. It feels like it. God, 2010 is like 11 years? Been doing this paranormal stuff?
Man, I
Yes.
know. That's a long time.
Wow.
We've had a lot of good times. We've had a lot of good investigations.
Oh, yeah.
Nicole has been our case manager for a long time.
Yep.
Hooked up some incredible stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We've
And
had
she's
some
a
great
big-
trips too.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll have many more once we get through this COVID period. So
We know she's not in the studio with us tonight. We tried to get Kevin to superimpose this picture she took during the summer where she also has goats. And these goats were watching a massive bonfire. We wanted to superimpose that as the background so people coming in would be like, what the hell am I watching?
you got to capture some
They
of that
love the
video for
fires.
us next time and send it to us. We could use that for our outro. Is that what they call it? Your outro? Is it a real world outro? Damn. Subconsciously, I knew that. Consciously, I had no idea. I thought I said something stupid.
I did that
Well,
yesterday.
I say a lot of stupid things. I mean, you've seen the show, so
All right, so new this season. This is something off of Pete, and he was talking about doing something with tarot cards on the show. So we decided we were going to draw a tarot card, and that'll be the card for the episode.
Oh, we're doing this now.
Yeah, we're gonna do it now.
God, I hope it's the Ace of Spades.
So what I'm gonna do is got the tarot cards here.
are you gonna do a magic trick for us?
Is this your card? All right. And the tarot card is. Ooh, it's upside down.
The hell is
moon
that?
reversed.
It's the noon elite. What is that?
The moon reversed.
The moon card?
The moon.
Ah.
When the moon, huh? The moon. What number is that? Like 13 or 12?
Hang on. I don't know. On top of it, it says.
Where'd you get that
I
deck?
don't know what
Walmart?
that is.
I think it's 18. I think it's card 18. It's
I think
it's
it
the
is.
moon. It's
I think it is.
oh
Upside down.
wow, wow. Oh, yeah, I shouldn't show everybody.
What
the
does it
book.
say?
Okay, so reversed means it's the opposite. So your enemies are going to be revealed this week. What is hidden will now be visible.
Oh crap!
That's kind of
After
scary
last week,
considering
that
what's
sucks.
going on.
Wow.
Wow. So if there's something going on in your life that's been hidden, or people are talking about you, or maybe you're going to get a tax refund or something from the dark is going to come to light.
Maybe another stimulus check?
I could definitely use 5 more of those. Not even for the reason you think. It's because there's a certain sandwich back at a certain fast food restaurant. My God, a combo meal is $9.57 now for something that's not even real meat.
Highway robbery.
Maybe
for sure.
that's the revelation. We're going to find out it's not made of meat.
No, I think that's been revealed a long time ago.
Yeah, they got
So
the
thanks for
plant-based
doing the
now.
thanks for doing the tarot card, Kevin. Now everybody's really worried, like, oh my God, what's hidden and what's coming out.
Well, it works out perfect since this is our conspiracy episode.
So if you're out there, I mean, in a real sense, I'll be serious now. So maybe you've been bound up all week. Maybe all the tension, you haven't been able to poop properly. So what's hidden is about to come to light. So make sure that you have resources available to take care of the cleanup when it does come to light. It is the season too.
So that's what the moon card means?
Yeah, it's gonna. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, see, the moon is reminiscent of nighttime. You still got the card up there, Kevin? Can you show everybody?
He put it back in the box.
You probably want your
Put it
instruction
away when
book
you
back
started
too
talking
with
about
the.
poop.
So what's going on at the bottom under there? Are there like people dancing?
There's wolves howl at the moon and a lobster coming out of the water. We're gonna have lobster this week. Oh no,
What?
reversed. You're gonna have not lobster. So
Is that a salt and pepper shaker or those towers?
what are you talking? I don't know what they are.
So everything has meaning in there, but most of it, basically, you're going to poop this week. So
I hope so.
Is that what that card means?
You're gonna
I hope
poop.
there's not a week where you don't,
you're
because
going to poop.
that could be some serious.
If it was the other way around, you're going to be constipated. It's upside down. You're going to poop. So that's.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna do one of these every show now.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll let
What,
Rich.
this
I
is
hope
what-
we get a different card.
This isn't fun.
Well, I'll give
Well,
you
you
the
don't
book
like
for
to poop
next
every
week,
week?
Rich. Here, you want the book?
I thought that was all tuition. With your knowledge base and experience in metaphysical, you'd pick that card up.
You know, we all grew up thinking, "Oh my God, you're not supposed to play with tarot cards and Ouija boards. It's all bad." That was pretty fun.
So, Kevin drew one of the royal flush cards. There's like 21, 22 of them. Those are the cards that. This is your journey in life. You start out as the fool, and as you progress through, you become enlightened. And then you get the other cards over there that have like the tentacles,
Tentacles and
cups, saucers,
Yeah.
dish. It has all the silverware for the table, basically. And then there's the big cards like the Hierophant. That's actually probably the worst card in the deck. You don't ever want to draw that. It's not the Tower. The Tower is a scary card. People are falling out. They're on fire. They're falling to the ground. That's actually a good card for you. But death doesn't mean what. But the Moon was a good one, so it was a good start. So
we got a hi from Chris and Vicky.
I
Hi,
hope-
Chris and Vicky.
I hope you enjoy your poop.
All right, so let's think about why I allowed that to happen. But anyways,
That was all you, brother.
And
That
just
was
like
all
that,
you.
and
thought
just
it was a
like
good
that-
idea. Wrong.
It was like, I mean, it was just like,
Apparently, my enemy revealed itself this week.
it was like giving Elmer Fudd a loaded gun in duck season. You know, you're gonna get something.
All right, let's talk conspiracies. There's a lot of people here to talk conspiracies.
That's what we're here for. Conspiracy theories. You know what? Conspiracy theories isn't exactly the paranormal, but there are a lot of like ties into it, and a lot of people who are in the paranormal are also very interested in conspiracy theories. And there are conspiracy theories that have some kind of weird, ghostly, paranormal element to it, or UFO element, or something along those lines. So, you know, when we talked about the content we wanted to do in this episode, Kevin and Pete kind of brought up the idea of conspiracy theories, because we have Nicole in our group, and that's kind of like right up her alley. You know, conspiracy theories and serial killers, and just, you know, all the good qualities a guy would like in a girl, you know.
Keeps them honest.
Yeah. She goes to Crime Con, she goes to Murder Com, Gut Spilled, you know, Com, all that kind of stuff.
Just
So
because there's a framed picture of Lorena Bobbitt, I mean, you know, that doesn't mean anything.
So Nicole, you're going to definitely add some value tonight to our listeners. Let's talk conspiracies.
Absolutely.
Okay. It's not really kind of up my alley. It's kind of more like Peter, who's calling somebody on his walkie-talkie.
They're listening.
So who's familiar with Heaven's Gate? We already know you are, Kevin.
I'm pretty
No,
sure the
not
people
that much.
who
I mean-
perished in that know a lot about Heaven's Gate, but
I
they're
saw
not.
a show on it, but
You saw a show. Well,
it was only half
there
an
you go.
hour.
So Nicole, tell us about this
Yeah.
Heaven's Gate conspiracy.
So we'll start at the beginning. This is a little bit of a mixture of conspiracy theory. You have true crime. You have UFO, extraterrestrial. There's a little bit of religion tied into it. So Heaven's Gate was ultimately a cult that formed in the 70s. The 70s is actually quite an interesting time, because that's when cults actually were starting to become a little bit bigger, and then forming. And then also serial killers actually became pretty big in the 70s. So 70s was just a weird time for all. But people in the 70s were ultimately looking, it was the hippie era. There was kind of what we're seeing now. There's some, you know, political unrest, civil unrest, and people were looking for something more. They were looking, how do you say, for something to belong, something to look up to. And so they were kind of vulnerable to these acts of, you know, you have Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles, who formed Heaven's Gate. It wasn't originally called Heaven's Gate, but they formed this group where they ultimately believed that they are visitors of Earth, okay, and that they eventually would be taken back up to, they call it, I don't want to say heaven, but they call it the next level, and they would be taken there by a spaceship. And so, what is that religion called? It's a specific, I wrote it down, hold on. It was a new age religion. I want to say it's millennial something. Please, I am so bad at pronouncing things. But they believed in human individual metamorphosis. There's a lot to Heaven's Gate. It's a really, to go through it all, it would take a long time. But ultimately, it was a UFO, they call it the UFO cult, where they believe they would be taken back up to heaven, the next level, back up, and they believe they were UFOs.
You know, so. Most of the stuff that I've ever seen about cults has been pretty much on TV. And there's always that, like, that 60s, 70s era when a lot of these things were coming out, like, you know, like the Mansons and Charles Manson and all that kind of stuff is like, and a lot of them took place in like California on the West Coast. And according to the notes I have, this was also like West Coast, like near San Diego, in that area. So, you know, I like that statement you made about civil unrest, because it's like almost like people were like looking for something to belong to, like a purpose or something. Trying to figure out why all these people joined these things, you know. But it was a big thing back then. I mean, some of those documentaries that I've seen on the cults and kind of disturbing, basically, the way some of these people thought. Now, if you talk about Charles Manson, isn't there a member of the Manson group that lives in upstate New York?
Yes, she
Yeah.
came
Down
to
the
the
road from me.
garage sale I had one time.
Down the road from you? Okay.
She came
Yeah,
to the garage
it's
sale I had.
Yeah. Squeaky,
Squeaky
Fromm.
From.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
She was the one that attempted the assassination on Gerald Ford.
Yes,
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
I believe. Maybe not. Or was she the one with Sharon Tate?
No, she wasn't out there. I think she was Gerald Ford.
Yeah, the Sharon Tate thing is very gruesome. And that's one of the things about the cult and stuff that ties into the paranormal. I remember an episode, was it Ghost Hunters, a long time ago? They investigated the home where Sharon Tate was murdered.
It was the property, because I think the home was demolished.
The property, yes. Chris Fleming, I remember, who was another paranormal celeb. He was actually assisted in that case. So this Heaven's Gate, I mean, there's so much UFO stuff going on right now. I mean, every time I look at my Facebook stream, there's always like 10 UFO things showing like new evidence of, that the moon is like hollow. Here's, basically someone out in space floating, and now there's this UFO that just takes off. I mean, and I'm starting to get more and more interested in this stuff, because the stuff that I've seen is becoming a little, I don't really know if it's more credible. I mean, Pete, you're the UFO guy. Do you think the stuff they're showing now is more credible? Or you just think they're starting to see it more and capture it? But most of the stuff that they're showing is like supposed to be like older stuff, right? That are releasing?
I don't want to bring this too much into current perspective because of what's going on. But if you were paying attention last week, a week and a half ago, they have to disclose everything UFO related within 180 days now. That was part of the military funding budget. So I don't know what we're about to see in the next 6 months that comes out. That's a real thing. But again, all these things that have been happening during COVID have been just slipping under the radar. Like the Army came out, they were talking about the vehicles. The CIA had started issuing things. So we're about to see something, and that aliens are, should I just say, aliens are real. We know they're real. They've been here for a very long time. I don't think they can control the narrative anymore. That's the problem. We've reached the point where you have a cell phone, you have a cell phone. We can get information out there and nobody can stop the information, basically.
Right.
So from that perspective, I think we're going to see some big disclosures coming out as far as that stuff. You look back to the 60s. Vinny, who we had on with the UFOs a few weeks ago, we've always talked about this. If you look at that period of history that Nicole's talking about, you go right to that. It all started in 1967 in San Francisco. Was it Dennis Leary? I always confuse him with the other Leary. The Leary with the LSD.
Not Dennis Leary.
Something Leary. But that was people starting to take LSD to produce supernatural experiences and voyages. I see this becoming a very big problem now, because I even hear college kids talking about it when we do stuff. They're talking about DMT. That's another form of drug that starts causing hallucinogenic states of mind, where people think they're actually talking to higher levels, higher consciousnesses, but they're actually just on a drug trip. That's a reality of it. You're not really talking to. The thoughts and afterthoughts may be with you afterwards, but I think that's how these cults are able to circumvent. I don't really know too much about Heaven's Gate. Is that how he brought the people in? Was it some type of LSD, or were they just
From Travis,
like
it
a
was
church?
Timothy Leary.
Timothy Leary.
It's quite interesting, because a lot of the members of Heaven's Gate, actually all of the members of Heaven's Gate, were they came from background of good families, educated. They had great jobs, engineers, doctors, nurses. I think they were all just looking for a sense of purpose, and they found it with Applewhite and Nettles. And so what had happened is, they formed their own society of it's a sense of conformity among these people that, and again, we look at it from the outside, looking in, and like, oh my gosh, what is going on, and they're very very quiet about it. They kept to themselves, but they did do recruitment meetings. And so at first the recruitment meetings were going great, but later on in the 90s, they didn't get such a great feedback from people. And again, ultimately in the Heaven's Gate, the suicides, there's only 39 people that died in that, but there are ex-members today. They still have what do you call reunions and stuff and talk, but they don't necessarily believe the extremists that went on back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. But there was no drugs involved. I can't believe it. No alcohol involved. They're pretty much, they shed their humanly um, stuff, I should say, their houses, their families, and they were all one. And that was how they lived. So it was very, very interesting.
But this 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 group kind of has a gruesome almost like ending to the story, where essentially that I think it was according to the notes that you shared with us, like in 1997,
Mm-hmm.
the sheriff's department discovered the bodies of 39 members of the group, including
Yes.
that of Applewhite, who was one of the founders. A mass suicide, coordinated
Mhm.
series of ritual suicides to reach the extraterrestrial spaceship following comet Hale Boop. Is that where you're getting it from? Is Hale Bop or Hale Boop?
Really boop.
Alley boop.
Haley Boop. So,
Beep, bop, boop.
you know, kind of come to a gruesome conclusion here that obviously they took their lives for the higher order. So, I mean, that's a kind of a common theme a lot with these cults, is that there's a leader who then convinces everyone and gathers the followers, and then they just end their lives or something, or a mass suicide thing, which is such a horrible thing. But looking through the notes of the stuff that you shared with us, some of the people they recruited into the group were reputable people. I mean,
Mhm.
they weren't just transients or people who off the street who were just kicked in their whole lives and wanted to belong to something. I mean, according to this, there's a Republican that was running for the Colorado House of Representatives named John Craig that joined it 1975. So,
Mhm.
I mean, this guy sounds like he's a hell of a salesman to get people in,
He
Well, there
was.
was
His father was a preacher, and he actually met Nettles. He was in the hospital, and she was his nurse. And so Nettles believed in the New Age religion. He believed in kind of the regular, normal religion. She was more like extraterrestrial. She was into the crystals. She was into, all the stuff that we kind of, the
Mhm.
metaphysical aspect. So they basically, I don't want to say they went on tour, but they went and toured the country, and they came up with their own religion. So what they were basically telling people was that they're not from this earth, that they were from a different planet, that they were extraterrestrials. Um, when this all said and done, we look at them like, okay, these people, and it's like, are they crazy? Or I watched the documentary on HBO. I definitely recommend it if anybody's interested in the full story. And somebody held up a shirt, and it just sticks in my head. It says Heaven's Gate, and it has their logo, and it says, "Were they right?" Question mark. Were they right? Did they get on that planet trailed by Hale-Bopp? Are they up in space, or are they in heaven? Who knows? So I think the conspiracy kind of behind it a little bit, looking at the bigger picture of what's heaven, what's space, what is all that, is just kind of interesting. And were they from this planet, or were they just people that, did they pull a Jim Jones? I don't know. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
What's really interesting is just after that had happened, there was a telescope. I think that was actually in California. A guy took a photo of the Hale-Bopp comet, and behind the comet in the trail, there was an object, and he kept calling it a
Mhm.
spaceship. So, did they make it? I mean, what was that?
See, that was a weird period too. I know you and Nicole are slightly younger than me, so I don't know how well you remember the '90s, but that was Rich could probably help me out here. That was the Clinton years. That there was so much weird stuff that just happened during that tenure there, because you had Waco came before this, right? So you had David Koresh at Waco.
93.
Mhm.
You had that Ruby Ridge. There were a lot of other weird conspiracy things that just plagued that decade right up to, I think I'd say Columbine was the closure of that decade. That was
It's like a
just-
rebirth of what we saw in the late 60s and 70s. You know, it was like another cycle of it.
So like Koresh, if we're going to go like we were talking earlier, you're talking the conspiracy theory, Jesus was physically talking to him. That was partly what led to his death. They stormed the compound before he could finish putting to text, putting to word what he was being told. Now, to me, that's very interesting because there were biblical scholars that were saying what he's saying is pretty intense. You should let this person speak, but we silenced them. So what did they silence? I mean, we're talking conspiracy theory, so I just throw that there. I don't know if you've seen that movie. That one's been floating out there on the net tube. So
Mhm.
that was pretty interesting tube.
NetTube. See, we're getting more internet stuff. I didn't know. I gotta write some of this stuff down.
Jim Jones, I think he was just a little off. That was, I mean, I know his was along the religious zealotry. David Koresh, I could see where people were following him because he was preaching a word that, I mean, it's not too far off the Bible. So I could see the Hale Bop people. If you're metaphysical, you believe you're a star seed. If this guy's selling you the right bill of goods, I totally see people.
Right.
Jim Jones, he still followed along the lines of religion. He was very much a follower of the Satanic Bible. And that's where he got a lot of his beliefs from.
You know, with Jim Jones, if you go back, I did a project in school for him. At the beginning, his message was fantastic. He was looking for, he was civil rights, African American rights. He was more of bringing everybody together. Everybody is equal. But somewhere along the line, it changed to he had so much. I think the power is corrupt, and the power got to him, and then the drugs got to him because we're talking about in the 60s, and then then he got into politics, and where that goes. And so he got into the politics in California, and then he got demonized, and that's when he took off to Guyana and started Jonestown, and it just went south from there. But at the beginning, his message was good, and it just changed over time.
There is the underlying belief in politics that Satanism is ruling, that there's a lot of people who say it's in the entertainment industry. There are people who are saying that they literally come to you with a contract, and if you wish to be basically that A-lister, for every action, there's a reaction. I'll just leave it at that.
So they
and a
want
lot
your
of
soul.
reputable people have come out. Mel Gibson's one of them who's come out and said. But again, we wrap everything into a conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theory started after the assassination of JFK. It's a catch-all phrase for people who don't want to accept an alternate theory that might be correct, basically. So you could tell me this, I could tell you that, but you don't want to believe me, so you just say it's conspiracy. We both could be right. We both can be wrong.
Right. To play off of that, here's something that Nicole shared with us about Heaven's Gate. The members of Heaven's Gate believe that evil space aliens called Luciferians falsely represented themselves to Earthlings as God and conspired to keep humans from developing. Technically advanced humanoids, these aliens have spacecraft, space-time travel, increased longevity. They use holograms as fake miracles, carnal beings with gender. They stopped training to achieve the kingdom of God thousands of years ago. Heaven's Gate believed that all existing religions on Earth have been corrupted by these malicious aliens. That's kind of deep. I mean,
Yeah.
that was part of what these two people were selling here. This Applewhite and Nettles.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
was
they
diehard.
they really got into the you know, they didn't they didn't want to like write off all religion, but it was the religion that they derived from what already exists, the mix between the New Age and the Christianity, and involving the extraterrestrial. It was more like they don't belong here. Like they are from another planet. They are from another place, and if you watch the documentary, they have a video of their last taping where they all have uniforms, okay, and they have a patch that says Heaven's Gate Away Team, and basically being away is being on Earth because their home is in space. And so when they took their lives, which they don't look at it that way, they call their bodies vehicles. And so basically they left their vehicles to join um, whoever else is out there with them.
Right.
This gets so deep. It's so crazy. And so, yes, so they did it in a way and they sent videos. I don't know if you're aware of this. So every single person, the 39, well, Applewhite was one of them. So the 38 people plus Applewhite sent videos. Basically, there were consent videos saying, I consented to do this. I want to do this. This is something I'm not being held against my will, which none of them were. It wasn't like other cults. And they wanted to be with the people on whatever planet or space or UFO, whatever they were going to. That was the real family. Everybody here is temporary. So
now, are they still in existence, or it pretty much ended with the mass suicide there?
Interestingly enough, there are ex-members that left the group. They left peacefully. However, what does exist, and everybody can go look this up, is their website. So that website that they created in 1990, whenever the internet came to be, is still up today, and ex-members actually renew that website each year. So all the DOS writing, they have the red alert across that kind of blinks. So when the Hale-Bopp came into existence, they all prepared to leave. And so all of their documents are on there, and they were actually afraid the government might censor them. So what they did is they downloaded everything on discs and sent them out to ex-members, just to make sure, because they were afraid after what happened at Ruby Ridge. They watched Ruby Ridge go down, and then they watched Koresh go down, and then after that you had Oklahoma City and stuff like that. So they were afraid that they were next. They were coming for them. So they did everything they could to protect what they believed in, and thought they were going to be censored by the government, sent out the discs, prepared, and then left.
Okay, here's something also interesting as I read through all the notes on this. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, Nicole's done a ton of research on this.
That was really good. Thanks.
So in November 1996,
Mhm.
amateur astronomer Chuck Schrammick, and Chuck, I apologize if I pronounced your name wrong, of Houston, Texas, took a CCD image of the comet we talked to, this Hale-Bopp, which showed a fuzzy, light, elongated object nearby. His computer sky viewing program did not identify the star. So Schrammick called the Art Bell radio program, which many of us are a fan of,
Yes.
Coast to Coast, to announce that he discovered a Saturn-like object following the Hale-Bopp. UFO enthusiasts, such as remote viewing proponent and Emory University political science professor Courtney Brown, soon concluded that there was an alien spacecraft following the comet. I know we touched upon this a little bit more, but it's interesting how they got Coast to Coast involved. They know right where to go. And then here you have a university political science professor who usually I give, those are credible people to me, saying there was an alien spacecraft following. So, I mean, it's just so many little moving parts, and it makes you think, First you read about it, you're like, they're all crazy, Then you read a little bit more into it, and it's like, I mean, sometimes it's like there are pieces. If you go through the haystack, you start to find things, that don't add up or actually start to support the things that they did. I mean, obviously the mass suicide thing was just, it was horrible. But, like you said, they said they knew what they're doing. They released statements. So, I mean, and they're still in operation today. I mean, well, the website's up. I don't know if they're actually
Heaven's Gate itself is not in operation. There was a time after the mass suicides that there were ex-members that did take their life because they kind of regretted not going with the away team when it took place originally. But other than that, there are ex-members that are out there that do exist, but they don't practice the Heaven's Gate beliefs. They still believe it, but they're not practicing. And you'll see if you do watch the documentary in HBO Plus, there's a couple of them that were on there that spoke deeply into the background of Heaven's Gate, that they do exist today, but they definitely, you can tell that they have some emotional issues still, which understandably so, from, the religion. However, they chose not to go that path. They chose to leave. And Applewhite was fine with that. He let people go. So, I mean, it's not a thing where they kept. Jim Jones didn't let people go after a while. You were locked in. This is different. If you wanted to go, you go. There was members that went and came back 4 or 5 times. So it's all what they believed.
So there's a religion now, isn't it? Is that Dianetics? I don't know enough about any of that. Or is that what's the one all the Hollywood people are in?
Scientology.
Scientology. Yeah.
Because isn't their main place like set up like a spaceship or something? Like the decor is actually like
it's
outer
I don't know a lot about that. Their main building, I'm not exactly sure where it is. I did watch the Leah Remini documentary that's on A&E. It's really good, but it does look spacey, I guess you should say. I forgot where it is, but it just looks out of this world. Weird.
Being paranormal investigators, everyone here, I love conspiracy theory, and people right away call me the nut. But where you're using all these type of tools, I think conspiracy theory is just another tool. It's one more piece to a puzzle. Maybe it fits, maybe it doesn't, but it may help you start thinking outside the box. I think that's where people get bound into these constraints. They just think, well, that can't be it. That can't be. That can never be. That'll never. But what if it is?
Well,
what if it is?
Yeah, as investigators, we wouldn't be doing what we did, right? If we didn't think outside the box. If you went in as a paranormal investigator and saw, all right, well, this is the principles I'm subscribing to, and it's very narrow, and then you can't really be an investigator. Sometimes you're going to sit down and listen to some very bizarre stories. How many times you've sat there and listened to people tell you very, very bizarre things, and you come to understand that, though it may not, you may not believe it's possible to you, but to them, unless they're just fraud or they're lying to you, whatever. But if they sincerely believe this is going on, it was real to them. And that's what, Kevin and I talked about it before. Remember, they're telling us a story. It's like, it doesn't make a difference if we think it's real. It's real to them. So, and they're sharing that experience. We're not there to judge. We're there to basically take little parts of it and try to understand, and then take that and try to solve some kind of mystery.
And basically, you weren't there.
We're going to try and prove to them that they're not crazy.
Right. But unfortunately, some people are, and some people aren't. They might be taking medication or something, and they don't realize it's doing it.
We're not necessarily saying some people are crazy. We're just saying necessarily sometimes people have imagined something, or they saw something and thought it was something else. But we do have a couple of comments saying that the main building for, I believe it's Scientology, is in Clearwater, Florida.
Okay, and that's where it is.
Oh, really? I thought it was like Utah or something.
The Illuminati.
They're apparently recruiting around here. It was on Craigslist.
I saw that.
A real thing.
You and Pete always find the weirdest stuff. I mean, like, hey, did you see Craigslist Illuminati's? What?
They're paying.
Wait, what do you in like the deepest, darkest places in Craigslist looking for stuff?
You don't know the hours I spend reading and following all this weird crap that comes up. Like the amount of weird stuff that I'm.
Pete, you get so much value out of that iPad. Peter got a new iPad. And was I supposed to say anything? It only cost $25.
No, Candy bought it for Christmas.
Okay.
So,
That was very nice of you, Candy. But if there's any one person who's get their money worth out of anything that's electronic for research, it's Peter. That iPad will churn out thousands of hours of Craigslist, YouTubing.
I can honestly say that Pete is probably the only person I know that has gone to the end of YouTube and worked his way back.
I think he's found the end of the internet. You have reached, it's like the Matrix. You have reached the end of the internet. What?
Oh, if you guys want me to start sending you links as I'm finding things, I'll be happy to start blowing up your boxes.
He finds everything. You know,
I was
here's something.
on
Here's something.
WikiLeaks earlier today.
Oh, don't get me started on WikiLeaks. Nicole, this is something.
Okay, so she brought it up.
Okay, hold on. Let me finish my thought. Then we'll get to that. This is. I know you're a big Star Trek fan, so you want to hear this, right?
Red shirts.
So going back to the suicides from this group here, among the dead was Thomas Nichols, who was the brother of actress Nichelle Nichols, who's best known for her role as Uhura on original Star Trek.
Yes.
Is it Uhura or Uhura? I said it right the first time, right? Uhura?
I want to say it's O'Hara, but I don't know for sure.
I
but
love
let me tell you,
Star Trek.
We're freaking Italian Americans. O'Hara. I don't know.
So let me tell you a little something about Star Trek. So with the Heaven's Gate, there was a list of approved shows that they could watch. Like they only could watch certain stuff. They weren't. Star Trek was one of them, and they compared. Applewhite and Nettles compared their life outside of this planet to the Borgs in Star Trek. They're like, that's how you will be living on another planet. So they watch Star Trek almost religiously. Yeah, so they watch it religiously. They're like, yeah, this is how it's going to be. This is it. So
I'm sorry, Pete. Finish what you were saying before.
Oh, I love Star Trek. Who's sorry to me? Don't be sorry to me. I love Star Trek. But Nichelle, what an amazing story there that Martin Luther King would not let her quit the show because she was leaving after season 1, and he made her stay on the show. Amazing story there.
Did you know there's only 3 seasons of Star Trek? That was it. I felt like I watched that for like a decade when I was younger. Was I watching only 3 seasons worth of shows over and over again? I mean, there's a lot more there's a lot more Seinfeld, and I watch Seinfeld constantly, and I remember every single episode. But Star Trek, I'm just wow. I thought there was like 25 seasons.
26 episode seasons.
Chris said that Scotty's ashes are in the International Space Station.
They snuck him on. That was a big problem. Yeah.
Really?
They just revealed that last week.
Oh boy.
Because they're only allowed to bring a certain size container of stuff with them due to size constraints, but somehow he.
I saw a video of the astronaut that snuck the gorilla suit out of the International Space Station and then like chased the guys around. He just popped out of nowhere and started chasing them.
Well, he has to go up there or he'll never figure out the trans-warp formula that we can use to go warp speed. He's got to be up there.
Cupping. I can't hold her.
So briefly, because Nicole brought up that thing that starts with the W, here's your homework out there, America. Google spirit cooking. You go down that rabbit hole, you're going to learn all about this Luciferian stuff. Mariana Abramovic, I don't know how you pronounce it. That's how I would pronounce it. Spirit cooking. You won't sleep for 3 days.
I think that's like they cook with like blood or something, or
I'm not talking about spirit cooking. Do your homework. So I saw a fascinating thing, not to derail you guys, but I was flipping through in the pooper on the iPad, and this goes into your big feats thing. Someone proposed the theory: what if the what the frig ever? That's a biomechanical suit that they all wear.
Daryl
wears a biomechanical suit. That's what that is. That's actually humanoids in a biomechanical alien suit. And you know how it is when you're on the book there? You look at one thing, you scroll down 2 things, and then you can't ever find it ever again. It's like, who posted that? But I thought that was an interesting theory for you guys.
Well, another theory that I came across, again, I'll never be able to find it again if I look for it, was that essentially that going way, way back, Neanderthal man like Bigfoot, were slaves to extraterrestrials, and that is these people are the ones that escape. They're like kind of like the rest of the slaves that's left after extraterrestrials left. They were the ones that got away, so that's why they're nomadic. They're roaming around because they're scared that we are, going to enslave them. I mean, yeah, true thing. I came across on the internet. So it's got to be true, right?
It's interweb.
Everything on the web is true.
Especially when it's on FaceTube, it's definitely real. And that InstaWit, that's everything. But when you got those two, it's for real.
Everything's real.
What else is
So what else do you got, Nicole? What other kind of interesting conspiracy theories do you have rolling around in your head?
Oh my gosh, there's so many.
Yeah,
When you grow up in Rome, New York, it is a walking conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even tell you how many late nights we had at DePaulo's just sitting there talking conspiracy theories until 11 o'clock. Jeez.
And all of them would be lived as someone would walk by the window.
Oh, so interesting. I don't know. Let's see. What else can what other conspiracies that we can talk about?
So she mentioned
kind of pull one out.
MK Ultra was thrown out there. Rome's got the Montauk chair.
I want to talk about a conspiracy theory. It's not really a known conspiracy theory. It's something that you guys came across. Your elderberry friend.
That's a good one.
Can
I'm so glad you brought that up.
I'm lost.
Oh.
Go for it.
Oh, I thought Nicole was going to take him. I don't. Mr. Helmet.
Actually, I'll be honest with you, Pete, I don't think I ever met him. I think I just heard the stories from you.
We've heard it a billion times because we were all on the walks with you. But
So we were finishing up a lecture at Jervis Library, and we're just about to dismiss the crowd. This guy comes in dressed like Doctor Who. He was like 80 years old. He had like the rainbow scarf on, the fur coat, and he's like, "Stop! I have a message for you. I've died 4 times, and I've traveled to..." So we're just thinking, oh my God, this is the guy that's going to murder everybody in the crowd. This is... We finally met the one guy who's going to. So like, everybody have a good night. You come up here. We'll talk to you. Long story short, we took him to Denny's. Where we
Here we go. Okay. Here's where it all goes wrong.
he brought a briefcase. We talked to him for like 4 hours. He's bringing out all the stuff that he worked on a special project where he created this non-friction liquid that spins continuous. It's a perpetual motion. And he's an elderberry farmer. He gave us his business card. It says lover, Vinter, what the hell ever, what, Vinter, time traveler, and whatever. The guy's first name was Helmet. It's a real guy. People knew him because he would actually go in the store with the crystal and douse with the crystal to pick the ripe fruit out, and that's how he would pick out his. So everybody knew him except us. I mean, that was, the Doctor Who thing was the. So he grew elderberries, and he told me someday elderberries are going to save your life. I'm pretty sure that's what got me over my sickness last December, which may or may not have been what's currently going on. But he was also a time traveler. And some of the stuff he said actually happened after we talked to him. But I guess the 5th time he actually did die. He didn't come back after he came back 4 times. The 5th time actually did him in. But the greatest part of the helmet story was when we're all sitting in Denny's there. I'm waiting for my lumberjack slam to come. He hands all of us little baggies filled with elderberry tea, like little dime bags of. And the waiter happened to come over, and he's like, "Holy, put that away! You can't have that." We're like, "It's tea." He's like, "I don't care what it is. Put it away. The cops are right over there." But see, there's a perfect guy just based on his looks, his story. You would immediately dismiss him as being credible in any way. Yet he worked for the government for 35 years, and he showed us some of the stuff he was working on. Like, my favorite one was the study, too, not to get bound up on helmet, but don't ever eat margarine. I'm going to tell you, don't ever eat margarine. He was showing me the stuff on that. Whoa. Nothing you can't find now in a Google search, but when he was showing us, that wasn't really. So margarine's one molecule away from being plastic. It
Mhm.
was invented to fatten turkeys. So think about that when you use margarine over butter. But if you like it, go for it. That's all your body. I'm not one to give you advice. Trust me. I sat down so hard earlier, the chair farted. I don't think Rich was even here. I sat down and so I'm not one for food advice.
Now, for Helmet, you said he was a time traveler,
Yes.
and there was also supposed to be 2 places in Rome that is the entrance. I don't know if you want to give the locations, but because he told you both of them, didn't he?
He said there was a cavern underground where you can use one of those, and that's where he was traveling through time. And he's like, the building that is here will mysteriously become at the other site. And anybody who knows Rome, the one site where he originally told us was the Phillipson site on Dominic Street, which moved to the other cave entrance, which was the old Price Chopper building, which then became Herb Phillipson's. But this was about 5 or 6 years after he had talked to us, and he was like, "What's here will be there." It's like,
So there you go. Now we
so
got,
after he died, I kept watching the papers because I'm like, "This is the estate sale. I got to go to this. This is." Did you guys find some weird jar up in the attic with some kind of goo? I need. Can I
Flubber.
get that?
so there we
But
go.
we've
we do have
encountered
a
many.
conspiracy theory in the local area that probably not a lot of people know about. So if it wasn't true, it can only grow from here.
Conspiracy. You got the Brotherhood of the Snake out there, which are up on Moss Island and Little Falls. We've been home to many UFO crop circle things up here. What was there one there? Some hill. I can't think of it. Wiener Schnitzer's Hill or something up in.
Star Hill.
It's
Potato
not
Hill?
Star Hill.
I forgot
There's
where it
another
was.
one
That
that's
was in
going
the
down
90s.
towards Cooperstown area, Richfield Springs area.
Mm.
Yeah, I can't think of.
That one was actually featured on a national show back in the early 90s.
Griffiths
okay,
is
interesting.
Griffiths may have the other Montauk chair. They have one chair which will teleport you to Long Island. But now if you start reading some of the science journals, they've been able to actually teleport very minute particles.
Vicky said Bickerman Hill.
Vickerman.
Mm.
What else? I mean, they say right now their technology is all in quantum
Vickerman.
level.
Sorry, Vickerman.
You know, we have quantum technology being repressed where we're like 500 years ahead. That, like they say, there's no money in the cure. I don't. Or are we as a people not ready for that? That's. Nice.
22 of them.
Well, all I got to say, if you're into conspiracy theory, you're in the right week for this because
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on out there.
We didn't plan this. Yeah.
Or did
didn't
we?
plan this.
did we? We were told by our keepers.
I am very, very inquisitive. I want to know how many of our viewers are actually wearing foil hats today. I think we should have worn foil hats tonight.
So just
I know that was an opportunity missed.
So just a quick one back, all of you, into the conspiracy thing. Do you think it was a lot easier to bring people into a cult back then than it is today? Because look at our society. Like when I was a kid, if you didn't play football, you were outcast in school. And you didn't really have social media. You didn't have, you had your right hand in a magazine and you had the 8-inch black and white television in your bedroom. Today you have other people who are just as disenfranchised that you can just literally, in our day, my day, you'd have to pen pal someone who was as weird as I was. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I am
there's a
going to
different-
say this. I'm going to say it's probably a lot easier today to bring people into a cult because all you have to do is throw on C-SPAN. And, I mean, look at what's happening. I mean, everybody on both sides, and they're in deep.
you're able to not sleep through season, man. I'm usually out after 30 seconds.
So I put it on.
Well, I'm
Yeas
just
have
saying,
it,
I mean,
14.
It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. There are people that are deep into it that will not believe anything other
MK
than
Ultra.
whatever's on that side.
Here's something that we didn't have when we were younger, but it's so prominent now, and it could be fueling new conspiracies. I know it is fueling new conspiracies and cults, and that's technology. Technology is almost becoming a cult itself. I mean, never in my lifetime have I gotten to the point where I'm just consumed by technology. I don't know if I've gone a day without being on my computer, being on my phone, being my iPad, looking for things. You know what I'm saying? Communicating, stuff like that. It's almost like a cult. They get you in, then they can basically say, oh, we're going to shut this down, or we're going to take this down. Now, basically, it's almost like, it's like you're almost like a crack addict. It's like they take it away from you. You're like, oh, So,
Well,
I mean,
See, like our
very much so.
generation, let's talk it out. You tell me why you believe what you believe. I'll tell you why I believe what I believe. There's none of that anymore. It's like, I'm just going to listen to people who believe what I believe, and I'm shutting everything else off. There's no intermediary.
Because, like what Rich is saying, with technology, is we have that in the palm of our hand now. We have that ability to just go on and say, oh, that's your belief? This says the opposite. I believe this. So it doesn't matter what they find. It's out there.
I think
So-
it's healthy, and I do this on social media. Is a lot of people who have a political view will only keep people on Facebook have that same political view. So they're kind of surrounding themselves with like-minded people, right? I take the opposite. I take people from both sides of the political spectrum and keep them and follow them. This keeps me in check. Like, you know what I'm saying? I listen to this side, then I listen to that side, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe they're saying that. Then it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So it keeps you kind of, sometimes people basically look at it as negativity. I look at it as kind of like leveling me out. You know what I'm saying? I see the stuff on this, and I see the stuff on that, and I balance it out in between. And that's why I put a post on my social media the other day saying, your opinions are always welcomed here. I may not agree with you, but your opinions are always welcome. And of course, somebody had to say, well, if it's fact, well, that's a different thing. And they use example of 3 squared equals 6. That's not true. It's like, I know, but that's just a very simple example. I'm talking about opinions. Everyone knows that 3 squared is 9, unless you're like under, 10 years old. So, but the thing is, it's still an opinion. I don't have to agree with you, but I'll honor your opinion because I think it's healthy to engage with people. And there's people who get conspiracies that send stuff to me. I listen to them. And there's people saying you're full of crap. This again, So it's kind of, but it's interesting learning the human perspective because these people basically believe it. And then they basically give me, like, I was showing Pete some stuff on my Facebook Messenger of a person who's believing in the conspiracy. And they're sending me all this data to back it up. And it's just like, it's interesting to see it. Even if I don't believe it, it's interesting to see it. You know what I'm saying?
But see, it might be a tool. That's to get you to think. And I agree. I've never deleted anybody's comments. I don't unfriend people. They unfriend me very quickly. But I respect but that goes back to, like I said, how we grew up. Make me understand what you're thinking. I obviously don't know what you're thinking. Teach me. We've lost the teaching skill, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Nicole wanted to jump in there, I think.
I wanted to give you a scary statistic, okay, on cults. So in the United States at any given time, okay, let's just say right now, there's anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 operating cults with a dozen subcults, okay, which there's about 300,000 upwards to 3 million people in cults as we speak. So
A lot of people.
I guess that's a lot of people. So I think the one important thing, and which is I'm glad we talked about Heaven's Gate a little bit, because I chose this topic prior to last week, which is very strange. Okay. And the one thing I guess when I watch a documentary, which I really related to, is there's 2 things they said. I should not one thing. Number one, set aside being judgmental and anything, and we've talked about that. Don't judge a book by its cover. If somebody's coming to you with some crazy stuff, okay, listen to them. Everybody needs to have opinions. Okay, all can't think alike, because that's dangerous. If we all thought the same thing, that is a dangerous concoction. Okay, and we all need not to put on blinders either. I mean, we can't have blinders on and just think of that narrow space, because that's dangerous as well, because there are people out there that will prey on people that are vulnerable, that think like that, and that's how cults do begin, you know. So I guess right now we all know history repeats itself. We've seen it over and over, and so we've seen it in the past. So the one thing that anybody can take out of anything that's going on now, plus maybe our conversation, is be aware, be careful, and not every one person has the right answer. There's not one person that has all the answers or the right answer. So you just got to keep an open mind to everything.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think many of us view people going into cults as weak-minded, and they're talked into it. You know, they're, basically some fast-talking preacher kind of person comes up and talks him into joining the cult. I remember I was on spring break, and it was like, I'm not even going to tell you what year it was. Okay, anyways, it was Daytona Beach.
69?
Yeah, it was at Daytona Beach. We were all hanging out on a beach and drinking some beers, listening to music. MTV was there. That still doesn't date me, but MTV was there. And then remember who were the ones that used to come around? They had the shaved heads and they wore the robes. Remember them? What was that cult?
The Hare Krishnas?
The Krishnas, yes. They're in
I don't know why
Daytona
they were
Beach.
hairy.
They're at Daytona Beach with signs saying we're going to burn in hell. And they had paintings of flames and people's arms sticking out of it. We're going to burn in hell, and they're coming at us. I think one of them got hit in the head with a beer bottle. I'm pretty sure there was some blood.
That hurts.
But they were coming in hard. You know what I'm saying? Instead of walking down there and just, with the signs and stuff, they were reading into people's faces, pushing that thing. It was almost like that's how brainwashed they were. You know what I mean? To just basically, I think they ended up getting jumped. I mean, they're so confrontational. You don't go to a beach with a bunch of teenagers, drinking beer on spring break week and tell them they're all going to burn in hell, especially when they have sharp objects like bottles and things like that. So, but that to me has always been my view of being in a cult was the Krishnas. They're, basically completely brainwashed and, that sort of thing. Then there's religions like Scientology. They call it a religion. Some people call it a cult. I seen the special they had on it that they had the girl from the King of Queens, Leah Rami. Yeah, talking about that. Mm-hmm. It was kind of disturbing to watch that. But then you have all these actors in there, stuff like Tom Cruise and John Travolta. It's like it's a peachy way of life. So it's like you get two sides to the story. You want to believe her, how bad it is, but when you see them, how wonderful it is. So you're kind of caught in, between whatever it is. But I think you got to have some serious money to be in Scientology. I mean, that's a expensive endeavor. So
their tithe is very expensive.
And a lot of times religion isn't it not, Nicole? Religion is tied to cults, isn't it? Usually there's a cult that usually got some kind of religious element to it.
It usually has there is normally a religious element to it, yeah. Well,
other than the Little Rascals, that was a cult. Remember? They had the He-Man Women Haters Club. Remember that?
So out of that statistic she read, how many of those are paranormal groups? Active cults throughout the U.S.
Oh, God. Got Agent Paranormal. You saying Agent Paranormal's a cult? Is that what you're trying to say?
Again, if somebody wants another quick research project out there, I don't think you're going to find a bigger cult in world history than World War II. Look up the Nazi parties, Vril Society, VRIL. I forgot what the one before it was. All these people, Hitler actually had the gift to mesmerize people. When people say this is starting to become more and more, even historians are starting to agree that the rise of Hitler wasn't from religious type thing, it was from the occult. And they employed a lot of occult in the Third Reich. The castle that the SS were building, this undying love for one person that you'd say, how would you literally walk into the fire for this guy, which people did. And it's like, because he had a gift of mesmerizing people.
Wow.
So that's another project for people. It got so bad, England even caught on to this stuff. So England was employing people who read horoscopes to put out fake horoscopes to scare the German horoscope writers. They had some kind of campaign of trying to actually get involved in the paranormal metaphysical aspect of that to try pushing back against.
Man, you got to bookmark this stuff.
Yeah, how much did that pay a year? I mean, I want that job.
Oh, D-Day's coming tomorrow.
There's so
No,
much.
it's going to snow. It's going to snow. Stay home. It's June 16th, but there's a polar thing coming. The swamp gas is going to freeze, which is going to cause Venus to reflect off.
Swamp gas. Yeah.
One more for you. I'll throw it out there. I'm sorry. The picture may still be out there in the Google. Is Google Vatican UFO skull. The Vatican has a skull. And here's where I laugh my ASS off. When you read what the U.S. person wrote about it to debunk it, they honest to God said it was caused by swamp gas. It's a human skull that was distorted from swamp gas over a 500-year period. What the frig with that swamp gas? Swamp.
That's something totally different.
Easy there, big fella. Easy there.
It was swamp ass.
Swamp.
Don't
Well, we are talking about.
Doesn't the
real-
Vatican have like a huge observatory and they got?
Isn't it called
Yeah.
Lucifer 1 or something? The telescope?
The Vatican owns the only
Lucifer something.
private-owned observatory or something.
And it's in Arizona. I
Really?
believe it's in Arizona. Sure it's not Lucifer 1?
God, why? That's
Why is that
disturbing
ringing a
itself.
bell with me? I don't...
Mm.
Maybe that's the, I don't know, the Archbishop. Me and Archbishops don't have a good report. After that guy punched me in the head with his stick over there after confirmation, I'm done with the... You spilled the holy cookies all over the floor. Next thing I know, he's like hitting me with his stick. Like, give it to the big fat kid who trips over himself. Let him carry the host. So we got a lot of conspiracy. We got, this was a good episode. The Haley Boopy. Is Haley Boopy coming back anytime soon? Is that like a...
I don't know.
You know, I don't know. That'd be a good thing to look up. I'm not exactly sure how often that swings around. I don't think it swings around that often, to be
Yeah,
honest.
the Haley Boop's coming next week. We're going to need vodka, sleeping pills, and applesauce.
I remember being scared, petrified as a kid that we were going to die with Halley's Comet. But then I made a promise to myself, I'm not going to die until I see it come around again, which was like 75 years it comes, every 75.
Geez, you better stop
I think
eating
it's
Swedish
75.
fish over there.
Lucifer is part of a large binocular telescope, which happens to be right next to the Vatican Observatory on Mount Graham in Safford. That's right. The Vatican has an observatory in Arizona manned by Jesuit astronomers. Now its next-door neighbor is named for the devil.
Conspiracy, I told you.
That is sort of scary. But they're saying that like Lucifer means, what is the meaning of the word Lucifer? It's like,
The Morning Star.
yeah, morning star.
Well, how the hell do you see it in the daylight?
I have no idea. That's interesting. Well, that's
I am Lucifer, the Morning Star. Hello, I'm Peter, 2 buffet plates and a drink.
Chris just gave us the date of July 28th, 2061.
what's that?
I
I believe that's next time Haley's Comet
I'm
comes.
shooting for 115, but
Gotcha. Well, Nicole, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And hopefully,
Yeah, absolutely.
when you're feeling better and we get back to some normal, you'll come join us in the studio.
we have beautiful
I will.
Utica coffee and Utica Club beer.
Yes.
Ah,
I don't
nice.
think you drink beer, but I definitely know you drink coffee. So
Yes,
A
I don't
cold,
drink, but I
crisp-
drink coffee.
coffee. That's
cold,
coffee is
crisp-
just as bad as alcohol, I think, with the addiction. Go buy Starbucks. You go by the bars now, you see 1 or 2 cars there. You go by Starbucks. There's a line all the way around the front of Applebee's, which would really tick me off if I owned Applebee's. But anywho, so thank you for joining us tonight and sharing the Heaven Gate with us.
Absolutely.
And hey, if you don't mind, at some point, go on to the Agent Paranormal Facebook. If you have any links or anything on some good conspiracies that our followers can look at, why don't you throw some links up there? People are always looking
Yeah,
for some cool
absolutely.
stuff to look at. So
And I'll put the link to Heaven's Gate up there, to their website if anybody's interested in that. And then also, if anybody's watching and is interested in the Heaven's Gate cult conspiracy, whatnot, the HBO special, it's about 4 hours. There's 4 episodes. Is excellent, completely excellent, and does justice to the whole situation.
Cool.
So I would recommend watching that.
Awesome.
I
Throw
feel
it up
like
there.
I need to add this on there. Is even though she's going to put the link to the Heaven's Gate website, we are not asking anybody to join Heaven's Gate.
See,
No.
I was thinking about it. Might be fun. You never know.
It
Again,
doesn't
this
exist, just the website.
Right.
We don't endorse anything we say today. Everything you listen to was entertainment.
Yes,
That's
and
right.
it is, and it is an important thing to say. That is entertainment. These are subjects that we research into, we find interesting, we share them with our viewers. So, with that being said, if you want to see more stuff about us, please go to Agent Paranormal on Facebook. We're also on Instagram. Don't know how much activity we got on Instagram. We're usually pretty busy on Instagram when we're out doing things, but with the COVID, it's tough to keep putting pictures of us sitting at home.
Mhm.
So it gets a little
Right.
boring. So, but I still feel that we're still actually a very active group, given or considering the the COVID situation, and we're looking forward to go up out there and help people out when the COVID, if it ever goes away, hopefully some point soon. So, kind of it's like 8:12, so we should be wrapping this up now. So. I want to thank our guest, Nicole, the show tonight.
Thank you.
Thank Disruption Network again.
Mhm.
They're always, I don't know why they kept us on another year, but we thank them for everything. If
We owe them money, and if we don't pay,
anybody out there looking for advertising for your business or whatnot, please reach out to Disruption Network. They'll help you with your advertising needs.
yeah, Disruption Network's a great platform for the show and many others, and there's a lot of great content to view. So, thank you for joining us tonight. Stay warm and stay safe, and we will join you
And
on
stay
the
near a
next.
bathroom.
We'll join you on the next episode of Agent Paranormal.
Stay near a bathroom.
Peace.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.